It is impossible to fall behind in your own life. No matter how much I'm doing, no matter how much progress I've made, no matter how much I try to keep up with other people and not, quote, fall behind, there are always reasons why I feel like I'm falling behind in life. Like everyone else is so far ahead of me. Like I'm not doing enough. Like if I slow down, then I'm going to suddenly be behind everyone else. But when you think about it, it's no wonder that we feel this way because we are in a society that makes us feel this way. It's designed to make us feel this way. With social media at our fingertips, constantly giving us access to comparison, to seeing what our friends are doing, to see how everyone else is living their life and looking at their highlight reel, of course we're going to feel behind. And of course we're going to compare to that. We're in a society that puts being productive on such a pedestal and promotes this busyness that if we feel like we rest or slow down, that we have to feel guilty or like we have to earn that rest. That if we do slow down, again, we're going to be behind. We're in this society that values material possessions and things so much. So we're all kind of on this chase for more money, more success, more recognition, only to be left feeling like something is still missing because we're just trying to keep up with the game that society is imposing rather than live a life that's aligned with what we really want. So again, leaving us feeling like we're missing something and like we're not keeping up. So quite honestly, in the world we're living in, it's no wonder we're feeling this way. Every single person in some capacity feels this sense like they're falling behind, like they're not doing enough. So if you are feeling this way, know that you're not alone. And again, it's no wonder we're feeling this way. And this feeling is only getting stronger and stronger in our world today because information is just becoming more and more accessible, giving us the ability to see what everyone else is doing. And our world is just moving quicker and quicker. So we feel like we almost have to move even quicker to not fall behind and to keep up. So this problem is just getting worse. There will always be reasons that make us feel like we're falling behind. But I want to remind you in today's episode that you are not behind. In fact, you're right on time. It's something that I'm always reminding myself of and something that I truly want you to believe as well, because whenever I do make this shift to remind myself that I am not behind, I am right on time, it takes an immense pressure and weight off of my shoulders and allows me to redirect my focus back on my path and my life and give me that peace and sound mind. So today I'm going to share with you the things that always make me feel like I am no longer falling behind and like I am right on time in my own life, and hopefully help open your eyes to the fact that it is impossible to fall behind in your own life. So the first thing that always makes me feel better about where I'm at are the countless stories of very successful, well-known people who got their start so much later in life. So here's a few that might sound familiar to you. Charles Darwin. He was 50 years old when he published his first book that he is best known for today. Vera Wang, the successful wedding dress designer that you're all aware of, she started out as a figure skater and fashion editor before even starting her journey as a designer at age 40. Martha Stewart worked on Wall Street and owned a catering company in Connecticut before even writing her first book at 41 and starting her career from there. Henry Ford founded Ford Motor Company at age 40, and it wasn't even until 5 years later that he even released the first car. And last but not least, my own mother. She had a whole career in economics and catering and nonprofit before starting her wedding planning company in her 50s. Now she's in her 60s and she's 13 years in and she's killing it and she's thriving. And she had multiple careers even before that. What these stories do and what these people's lives demonstrate to us are two things that I believe to be true. The first being, it's genuinely never too late to go for that thing that you want and to go for your dream. All of these people are so successful in their fields and might be the top of their fields, and absolutely no one is looking at their life and saying like, oh, they're so behind, or oh, they started so late. They're proving to us that you can be successful in any timeline and it doesn't have to look like the one that society imposes onto us. And the second one that I want to highlight that I think is really important is change and pivoting and failures are a part of everyone's journey, a necessary and even successful part of their journey. Every single successful person in the world has embraced failure and change along the way. But this is difficult, I feel like, for a lot of us to believe because we're grown up being asked the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we're told when we're in school and we go to college, like pick one career path, pick one major, and then that is your lifelong career. We're almost molded to believe that if we make a change and if we fail at one thing and switch to another thing, that we're behind and that we failed, and that's a bad thing. I know I personally felt this way. Like in college, I felt like I had to stick on that one career of accounting and finance just because I majored in it, even though I didn't like it. It made me believe that that had to be my lifelong career for a while. But these people and so many others, known or not known, are there as examples to remind us that we are not meant to be just one thing, that we can evolve in and out of many different stages in life and in and out of many different careers and opportunities and experiences. And that does not mean we failed. What it does is sets us up for the person we are meant to be and for what we're really meant to do. It's all an important part of our journey, absolutely not a failure. And I don't know any of these people personally, but I would put money on the fact that none of them regret all of those changes in different paths and failures that they experienced leading up to their bigger successes, because that molded them into who they were and gave them the experiences that they needed to have in order to have the success that they did. And my mom, who I am on a personal level with, has shared with me that she learned such valuable skills and lessons from all of her different careers and paths that led up to her starting her own wedding planning business. And she absolutely wasn't behind, because those were necessary steps along her journey and gave her so much along the way. And she might not have uncovered that passion if she didn't have all those experiences. She might not have opened her eyes to what she was really meant to do and what she really is now thriving in. Even the most successful people encountered so many changes and failures and pivots along the way, and none of them had a specific timeline that they kept up with. Another thing that always helps me remind myself that I'm not falling behind is the fact that none of us are behind. We're simply just different. Like, absolutely none of us are meant to have the same life and same journey and same path. But again, it's society kind of telling us, like, this is the age you're supposed to get married. This is the age you're supposed to buy a house. This is the age you're supposed to have X amount of money and be at this place in your career. But we're all on different paths. Our lives are not meant to look the same. If we all had the exact same life would be extremely boring, because no one would be different from anyone else. We wouldn't be working different jobs and serving different purposes in this world. None of that would make sense. So when I start to get in my head about this and start to feel like I'm falling behind a little bit, a shift I ask myself is, who am I really even falling behind? Because again, the truth that I know to be true is there is no one else that's going to have the same life journey and timeline that I am. I am on my own unique timeline and path and journey that's going to be totally different than that person's that I'm seeing on social media, or totally different than my friend who is on a different path. So really comparing to anyone else's journey and timeline and path is never going to serve us. All it's going to make us do is feel worse about the path that we're on. I find that any single time that I go on social media, or not even social media, just anyone in my life, and compare to what they're doing, all it makes me do every single time is feel more insecure about my own path and question the choices that I'm making. I might have felt really confident one second, and then the next second when I compare to another person, I'm like, oh no, maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe I am falling behind a little bit. Like, they're doing something different. Should I do that? But then I level set and remind myself their path has absolutely nothing to do with mine. I am on an entirely different and unique path and journey. And there's no one I could even possibly be falling behind, because again, it's impossible to fall behind in my own life. I can go on and see the plenty of people that are killing it in the corporate world, making loads of more money than me, but that's not the path that's meant for me and not the path that I chose. I can go on and see the people already married and settling down and having kids, but that's not the stage of life that I'm in and what I want to be doing right now. We have it in our heads that because our lives don't look like theirs, because we're not doing exactly what they're doing, that we're, quote, falling behind. But all it means is that we're just different. And those are two very different things, but sometimes easy to mix up. It's that difference of comparing to that person and understanding that we are different and we're not meant to be the same as that person. So that's always helpful to remind me to come back to my own life, because there's no one else that we need to compare to except for our own path and ourselves. It's also easy to think, right, that their happiness and their success means that there's less out there for you. But that's also untrue. That's just that scarcity mindset coming back into play. And I did a whole solo episode on this that I'll link below if you want to give that a listen. There is not a limit of happiness and success out there for all of us. Their happiness and their success and their timeline really doesn't have anything to do with your own. It's just our fear of getting left behind by the people we love and by the people in our life that allows us to convince ourselves that we're not doing enough and that we're behind and that we have to keep up with what they're doing and that our lives have to look like theirs. Which segues into another mental narrative that I think we get caught up in that I would like to address. This idea we tell ourselves that people are going to leave us behind if we don't keep up with them, or if our lives don't look like theirs. Like, we need to be sure that we're all doing the same things and that we're fitting in with them and keeping up with the timeline they're on. Otherwise, our friends might leave us behind. or otherwise we might drift apart and not maintain that same level of closeness. Like a big thing I'm seeing now at this age is people in their 20s and 30s, like getting married as a friend group. Like you see one couple getting married and then suddenly like the whole friend group is engaged and ready to be married. And it's almost like groupthink. It's like, oh, my friends are getting married. Like that probably means like it's time for me to like really, really get on that and get a ring on my finger. And of course, it might just be coincidence with some people. Like, yes, the timing might make sense and it might just happen to be that they all get engaged at the same time. But part of me also thinks it's because we feel this pressure to keep up with the people that in our life. That like if we have married and engaged friends and we're not, that they're going to leave us behind. That we're going to be the single friend that they ditch or something like that. But two questions come to mind for me here. A, would they be true friends if they left you behind just because you're at a different chapter or life phase than you? And B, do you really want to make these big life decisions based out of fear of people leaving you behind, or make decisions based on a life that really feels aligned for you? For me, one thing I've accepted wholeheartedly and truly learned, especially these last few years, is the people that are meant to stick around in your life will always be there. It doesn't matter if they have a different career. It doesn't matter if they're single and you're married or vice versa. It doesn't matter if they live in different cities. They will be there if they're meant to be in your life long term. It doesn't require you bending your back to try to, quote, keep up with the group or follow that life that they're living because you're scared of losing that person in your life. If your life and your path and timeline looks different than the people in your life, all that means is you're staying true to you, that you're abiding by your timeline and what feels aligned to you and not altering your life and uprooting it just to try to keep up with other people or just to try to keep up an appearance on social media and fit in with your friend group or XYZ, fill in the blank. If your path looks different, that doesn't mean that you're going to lose the people that are important to you in life, and it doesn't mean that you're falling behind. Again, it means that you have clarity on what does feel true to you. Because again, we're all different and our timelines are not meant to look the same. And also another thought that I just want to squeeze in here. If those friends are going to leave you behind, if your life doesn't look exactly like theirs, those are definitely not people that you want to be uprooting and making big decisions for in your life. Because again, I think the people that are going to be most genuine to us are going to stick around no matter what. It doesn't require us abiding by certain timelines and rules and, quote, keeping up with the group to fit in with the people that are really meant for us. Another really helpful shift and reminder that I always come back to, and I'm constantly working on coming back to, especially recently, is the true meaning of life. Life is not a race, but society makes us feel like we're on this hamster wheel and on this race. But life isn't a race. If you ask me, life is to be experienced in our own ways. The point of life isn't to, quote, win at it. The point of life isn't to get a certain score or finish in a certain place. The point of life is to experience and to live this life. So how can we possibly fall behind if there's truly no race that we're on? It's, again, society in that hamster wheel making us feel like if we step off of it, then we're losing the race. It's this constant pressure to move quicker and faster and do more and more and more. But really what I've been leaning into is slowing down and reminding myself there is no race. There is no timeline that I need to force myself into, and that this life journey is meant to be experienced and enjoyed, not rushed through, not forced, and not to be, quote, won. We're not pinned against each other in this race or game of life. We're all meant to be experiencing it together. And that means, again, having different lives that we're experiencing together. And honestly, for the final point here, I am the most happy and most fulfilled when I am not comparing to anyone else and when I am not feeling like I need to keep up or that I'm falling behind. It's when I'm not putting that pressure on myself or comparing to anyone else. It's when I am truly just keeping my focus on my path and trusting in my own timeline and journey. It's when I am slowing down and enjoying and not feeling like I need to perform on this race and not fall behind everyone else. I feel so much more at peace and so much more happy when I tune out that external noise and societal pressures that are surrounding us. That is when I feel my best. So that is what I know is going to be most aligned and serve me the best in this life. So it's always in coming back to these reminders, reminding myself that there is no set timeline that I need to abide by and that it's impossible to fall behind in my own life. If you enjoyed today's episode of Fulfilled, don't forget to press follow or subscribe wherever you are listening. Leave a comment on the show. Let me know your thoughts and leave a rating or review. All of this would mean so much in my efforts to grow the Fulfilled community, and I'll see you all again next week on your journeys to living fully.